Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah,
We're coming to you live from no.
What?
No, we're laughing because Dr. Heidi just asked us if we're live. We told her no.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Welcome, guys. Melody Woolf and Dr. Heidi. How are you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
We're great. We're great.
I'm
I'm super excited today because Matt has been asking about Kratom for a while.
Yeah, we can't wait to dive into this.
When I stumbled across the two of you and your advocacy work, I was like, oh, these are the people we should be talking to.
Yeah. And Dr. Sykora, how did you, I didn't.
Right. You can call me Heidi. That's fine.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I mean, it's important to show everybody where you're at later on. So we'll get to the commercial at the end. But yeah, perfect. So yes, so as Tom was saying, like I'm actually really interested in Kratom. I've owned headshop.com since 2002. It started out very cannabis accessory friendly. And then, as you might imagine, over the years, that sort of purview has expanded, to encompass a bunch of things. It's not just, bongs anymore, right? Like it's a complicated world out there these days. And we had Chris McDonald on the show, who's got an atomizer thing specifically designed for mitragynine. So he was sort of in the trenches on how to like particleize. I'm not sure what the right word is there, but
articulate.
Yeah, make mitragynine really, really itty bitty so you can get the effects of it. So that was sort of the genesis of us going on the hunt for some Kratom people, and here you are.
Okay.
So
yeah. Well, I think that Melody is the super advocate, and she's the one that connected with you fellas.
Yes.
And I'm glad that she did. And so I think that it's important for Melody to tell her story.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Go
well,
ahead.
that's a good bridge. How'd you guys?
Let's
How
go.
did you guys get here? Yeah, you don't just wake up one morning and do this.
No, I became a daily Kratom consumer almost 12 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. I was bedridden for 8 years, needing a walker and wheelchair often. My kids were all in elementary school at the time that I became bedridden.
Wow.
Oof.
And they had to have fans on in the room at night, so they wouldn't hear me crying in pain every night.
Oh my God.
Yikes.
So, I mean, we're just so fortunate that we live just a block from the school so they could do some after school activities. But we had to rely on other parents to help us and so forth. I was given the highest dose of fentanyl, as well as several other things by the same doctor.
Wow.
And so the times that I was lucid and coherent, I researched as much as I could. And so happy that somebody put in a chronic pain group on Facebook about Kratom. So then I started.
So you didn't even know about it. You just kind of happenstantially ran across it.
And which is one of the reasons why I advocate so much is I don't think that mobility should be happenstance. It's probably not for everybody, but I want them to at least have the information.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because my family, I mean, it's pretty dismal here. It's just like a bedridden mom with 3 young children. My youngest was in the 1st grade.
Oof. Yeah, that's tough.
And so that was really hard on him. So I found Kratom, and I've been taking it daily ever since. And it's just made such a difference in my life. In 2022, my daughter's childcare closed down 2 weeks before she went off maternity leave. And this is COVID, so there's nothing left open.
Right.
Your child in at daycare. So they asked me to move across the state of Michigan and to move in with them for a year. And I gladly did that. I didn't even have to ask. Don't you have to ask Dad? Nope. I'll be there. It was like, no problem. I will be there for you, honey. And this summer I did the same thing. They had a large home repair bill that had to be done. So I spent this summer chasing a 3.5-year-old around all the parks, going to splash pads, me actually rolling down the hill with her and so forth.
Wow.
So huge difference, obviously.
So Melody, is there no pain with the Kratom?
Oh, I still have pain.
Okay.
Before Kratom, my pain was a daily 8 to 10.
All right.
With Kratom, it's daily 2 to 4.
Wow.
Oh, so
okay.
significant.
That's significant.
Yeah.
But even my worst days now, those were my best days then.
Oh,
Yeah.
So huge flip right there.
And fall is really hard time for pain patients.
Mm-hmm.
We call it the October slide, when you slide into a different season.
Oh, right. That makes
Your
sense.
pain's increased, and yeah, it just gets really bad for pain patients, especially this time of year.
And you know what's so weird about Kratom for me is that my wife and I actually were talking this morning. I was getting ready and she's like, who do you have on the show today? And I was like, actually, I'm excited we get to talk to these Kratom people. And she's like, what does that do? And even living with a guy who owns a fairly large head shop who sells Kratom products on them and having a podcast talking about all kinds of crazy health stuff. She still had no idea what Kratom was or anything. So I'm walking her into this thing a little bit and she's like, well, why don't more people know about this? I was like, that's an excellent question that I'm going to crack open today. But from my vantage point, it's because it got slopped in with this sort of like under the counter truck stop head shop sort of black dark market sort of bullshit. And
gas station uppers or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Next to the boner pills at the truck stop. You're like, okay. Yeah. Right. You're like, yeah, maybe I don't need, maybe someone like yourself doesn't want to take something that's right next to the truck stop boner pills. I don't know. It just feels like maybe
it doesn't feel so therapeutic.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and that's because everything that is called Kratom is not actually Kratom.
Of course.
And the FDA, hasn't helped that situation by initially demonizing the natural whole leaf Kratom, which is very safe.
Hold on, are you telling me that the FDA, our FDA, did not do enough research on something and before they demonized it? I'm like jaw agape here.
All right, who's running the FDA? What drug company is he from?
I think that it might have something to do with Big Pharma. I'm not quite sure about that, but that could be, considering Scott Gottlieb was, kind of pushing the Kratom ban. And where is he now? Pfizer. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Isn't that funny how that works?
It's crazy. And look, I heard about it literally from Hamilton Morris, right? So his Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia, and I went, wow, this is pretty cool. And then I was like, I wonder where they sell it. And yes, it was exactly the places where I don't think I would want to be buying drugs. And that put me off, especially knowing that there was some actual research being done on this and knowing that its pathway is opioid-like, but not an opiate, right? And that this was another plant, much like, very different pathways, but like the cocoa leaf, we're if we chew that, we get a little bit of an energy, thing, but no, we want white powder to stuff up our nose in massive amounts. And it seems like that's an issue with Kratom as well, right? I mean, we're seeing some synthesized compounds coming out of it that are not necessarily in I'll say the patient's best interest.
That's exactly true, and that's why the FDA and the HHS invited me to their national press conference on it back in July. They knew exactly what I was going to say, and the FDA commissioner welcomed me to a stage to talk about the benefits of Kratom.
Why do you think that pivot happened? Like, that seems a little...
I think, I'm not sure, probably Dr. Heidi can come and help more with that. They have all the science and they can't deny it anymore.
Right, okay.
Well, I think Trump, did the executive order for gold standard science. And so they couldn't hide behind the false claims. I mean, the things that were previously used as a reason to not, have it accessible and present it positively were based on just a few case reports.
Right.
So you probably have read that seizures, was one of them. And there's actually like only 2 or 3 single case reports about seizures, and they all have confounding variables.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not science. That's not evidence to base a decision on a substance. And so I think with the new administration, it was very helpful that they took another look at it and are looking at the science. And hopefully we'll be able to get a federal Kratom Consumer Protection Act passed. And then that will help eliminate some of the bad actors and, the bad products out there. Myself, I never went to a head shop for it. I've never walked into a head shop in my life. So, but my son is the one that actually really got into plant medicine.
My son, on the other hand,
my son opened one.
Yeah, that's funny.
But he just really studied. The first thing that he turned me on to was ashwagandha.
Oh yeah, I love the ashwagandha.
Yeah. So and I was educated in the mainstream nursing medical model. So I didn't have a lot of background in plant medicine, but it was amazing how well these things work. And so
yeah, that's a fun one actually. I got a bottle of a supplement that I use that's just straight pure ashwagandha. It's awesome. It's like just fantastic, but it's so effective that I have to like it needs to be a day where I need it kind of thing. Like I can't take this. It's too strong.
I just take it at bedtime. Yeah, I can't, and it really helps with sleep. But my stepfather had horrible tremors and just a little bit of ashwagandha, and he was able to feed himself. I mean, so then that was really my
was that Parkinsonian's based or was that
it was a little bit, but Lewy body,
okay,
and he always had an essential tremor.
Okay, so, all right, okay.
Yeah, Tom's a really PhD of Chinese medicine, so he throws plants.
But I just it's interesting to me to see, because not every tremor clearly is the same pathway. So certain things work better than others, and I find it, and I find like how we evolve the language around supplements like this so interesting, because like plant medicine to me, like when I first started hearing that phrase come about, it was like, oh, you're talking about ayahuasca. Right. It was very clear. Right. And then everything else was herbal medicine or you're tripping or something like that. Right. Now it's like plant medicine is also herbal medicine. It's also supplements depending on how and I feel like that's not a bad thing. It's just an interesting observation of how, we're trying to almost elevate everything to a little bit more of like, no, this is an essential thing. This is something we need. So we're going to call this plant medicine instead of just a supplement or an herb that we might think of as a food additive, or just like, oh, those pills don't do anything, so you're kind of giving it a little bit more respect with it. And I actually, I think it's funny because it doesn't change the plant, but but at the same time, you're giving it a little bit more of like hey, no, there's a reason we're using this. There's a reason we're doing this, and there is something special about it.
There are 50 to 100 million chronic pain patients.
Yeah.
And now it's almost next to impossible to get any pain relief from your doctor anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure, what my nephew got something wrong with him. I don't know. It needed some pain relief, and he was 19, and they threw opioids at him. And I was like, he called my wife, and she was like, put that shit in the garbage can. Like, don't even, are you insane? You're a 19-year-old kid. Like, don't take that. Like, no. And the doctor didn't think there was anything wrong with it. And, and I think that's, we are in full-blown opioid crisis, undeniable. Nobody argues this, and yet that situation still happened, and that just happened like last year, right? Like, so this isn't like some like, oh, look, 20 years ago it happened. No. This is like contemporaneous, and it's mind-boggling to me that we're not having these deeper conversations.
Well, it's hard because there was opioids were given out like candy, right? I mean, there's even a documentary where they were like saying how the family, I forgot which family that was kind of behind that drug company, all of a sudden looks poor. Yeah, the Purdue, just so they don't lose everything. But the course correction was almost just as bad, right? Yes, you got to get people off those opioids. Dude, they cold turkeyed VA patients. Some of those patients were on opioids for 20 plus years. And then there's, hey, we're not giving these out anymore.
Well,
and
those CDC guidelines put, so much pressure on prescribers.
Yeah.
And many have been arrested for, and some for appropriately prescribing to severe chronic pain patients.
Yeah.
And so, it's a problem. The overcorrection is really a serious problem that's putting people's lives in jeopardy. Because, first of all, if you're in extreme pain, there is a risk of suicide. And that's part of the reason why, Dr. Brett Gerard initially retracted the Kratom ban in 2016, because he said that it is more of a health risk to make Kratom illegal, the natural Kratom plant, than, because of intractable pain, increased suicides, increased opioid overdoses, because a lot of people use Kratom for opioid withdrawal. And I was going to say that's the one big advantage of having it in smoke shops and head shops, because
accessibility,
immediate accessibility. And Melody and I have a friend that's exactly how her life was saved. She found Kratom through A Leap of Faith, the documentary, and then she slipped into a head shop and got some, and she was off cocaine then, and off opioids and everything else.
Wow.
So, unfortunately, critical thinking seems to have been lost.
Oh my God.
I mean,
was it ever here?
Oh, that was out the window probably 100 years ago.
I mean, there's a big difference between prescribing opioids for, a 17-year-old, with a sports injury, and somebody, like Melody and I, who have chronic severe pain.
Yeah. Right.
So, although I've never took opioids, I can't tolerate them. My head's too sensitive to anything inebriating.
And I'm super sensitive to everything. Every time I've ever gotten like hurt, like mine's mostly sports related or activity related. It's always been Flexeril and codeine or something along those lines.
Man.
Right? Like that's
that's
the sort of like 1-2 punch that they always like. And usually it's a long enough time between those experiences that I'm like, you know what, maybe it's not as bad. And I take that first dose. I'm like, nope, fuck this. We're done. This is still as bad as it was before. I cannot function. And that's literally all it takes. And to the point where now if it happens, like the last time it happened, that was the exact same cocktail. And I was like, no, thanks. I didn't even go fill it. And so, yeah, it's just too much. And honestly, I know better, right? Like I now know so much more, especially because of the show, but like just because of my personal interest anyway. I just know that there's all these other options, and I'm not one that's sort of like stuck up by the sort of stigma of things. In fact, if anything, that might just gently encourage me to do it more.
What's really going on here?
Yeah.
Can I ask you both something? And I've heard people say, oh, this is a myth, and oh no, this is the way we categorize it. And as I guess users and researchers, right, there seems to be this dose dependent of what the effect, right? A little bit gets you some energy and gets you, and then more is more sedative and helps more with the pain relief. But I've heard people describe it as green and red leaves. Is that a myth? Is that a kind of misconception? Is that a branding thing? What, can you tell me about that?
I think it's more branding.
Okay.
The colors. Go ahead, Melody. Sorry.
I've taken different strains, and can I notice subtle differences? Maybe.
Okay.
But I get great pain relief with all of it.
All of it. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and that is related to the color of the veins in the leaves and the maturity of the plant. So the most immature plant is white, and that is, people say it's the most energizing. And I did try white, and I am telling you, I would never take it again for me. It just made me too jittery. And then green is kind of the mid-range. A lot of people find that effective for pain and also, a little bit of stimulation. And then red, most people feel like it has typically the highest metrogenine content
Okay.
for pain relief. And, everybody is different. Everybody metabolizes differently, obviously. The best way to find the right strain and dose is really to do it on a gram scale
Okay.
and start real low, and then, just add until you feel it. And boy, I'll tell you, when you get that right serving size, it is really something. It is just so gentle. And all of a sudden it's like, wow, okay, so this is what it feels like, to feel a little normal.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does that look like if you're trying to tighter up? Do you take, well, first you're going to start with a small dose, but how long do you wait before you increase? I mean, and I understand everyone's different. I'm not asking for you to give us a formulary.
Right. And I'm not going to be prescriptive,
No, please don't. YouTube hates that.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So I can tell you how I did it.
Okay.
So, I tried, just 1 gram and I didn't feel anything good or bad. So then I waited 8 hours and then I tried, 1.5 grams.
Okay.
And nothing happened. The next day I tried 2 grams and it was like perfect.
So that 24 hours.
So you're giving yourself enough time to kind of metabolize most of it and get it out of the system.
Yeah, well, it just happened to be bedtime, so.
Okay, well, makes sense.
So I started over the next day, and it was like, okay, wow, this is amazing, and the thing is that it's the only thing that I have personally taken that didn't have the downside.
Yeah.
So even after brain surgery, my surgeon gave me 240 oxycodone, and
Oof.
I used 5. And I mean, that was after major surgery because I'm so sensitive to it. I mean, I was just knocked out. And that's just no way to live because, if you don't have mobility, you can't have health. And so if you're just sitting there in a chair, like a zombie, even if you don't have pain, you just don't have the motivation to do things. So, so it worked very, very well for me.
That's.
And the interesting thing about Kratom, and I'd have to fact check this. I can't remember what it was, but the half-life is really long comparatively speaking, right? Like, so like the half-life of Kratom, I think is like a day or up to 2 days or something like that. It's like, it's some hours. Weirdly long
12 to
amount.
24. It's 12 to 24 hours.
12 to 24. Okay. So that's like, that's different, right? than a lot of things where you don't have to keep upping it, every, like as often.
Right. Well,
so most people that are using it, this is a once a day thing?
Hours. No. See, yeah, it's really interesting because the peak effect is about 4 hours.
Okay. All right. Got it.
So, it's so gentle. It kind of, I mean, it goes up, it peaks at 4 hours and then very slowly metabolizes, through the body. But most people, if you're in, severe pain, they're gonna know at 4 hours.
I got you.
And for me, I really used it, have used it as a tool to really strengthen and exercise and do everything else that I can to really maintain my physical health. That's helped so much. I don't have to take it all the time anymore.
Sure.
And my compression fractures have healed, so that helps a lot too.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
So actually, I wanted to kind of dive in on that a little bit real quick. So it's funny, there's trade show every year for the Head Shop convention, right? We just literally just talked about this.
I've been to it.
Yeah, Champ? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great. And every year you can kind of tell the sort of tidal wave of the year. It was Amanita muscaria one year, it was Kratom one year, and now last year it was 7-hydroxy, which seems to be like the new darling of the molecular do-si-do, as it were, of legal landscape and whatever.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that? I know it's a metabolite.
We have lots of thoughts on.
I have
lots of thoughts on that.
Okay, let us have it.
I keep track of our local smoke shops. I like to make sure that they're doing it right. Things are behind the counter, locked, and no minors are coming in.
Yeah.
So I was doing my ordinary checks, and I said, I'm looking for your Kratom. And he handed me 7-OH.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that's not Kratom. And of course, I had an opportunity for a little education there, and I was happy about that. But the clerks think that 7-OH is Kratom.
For
and
sure.
At the U.S. congressional briefing that I was at with Dr. McCurdy, he put up 2 models of comparisons. They look nothing alike.
7-hydroxy and Kratom.
Is this synthetic or just a one extracted compound?
Well, it's a metabolite of mitragynine, isn't it?
It's a semi-synthetic. There is a small amount that can occur, but doesn't always.
Okay.
During the drying process. So they take that little and if it's during the drying process, it's insignificant amount for the consumer. But they take that little bit and they synthesize it. So it's a semi-synthetic.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
And it is not Kratom. And it is a Kratom metabolite, but when people see that, they think Kratom.
Yeah, it's really muddied the market. So I kind of like to think of it as you use a teaspoon of baking soda to make a 2-layer cake, but baking soda is not cake. So 7-hydroxymitragynine is that metabolite from mitragynine. As it goes through the liver, mitragynine is broken down into 7-OH. But because it's in such trace amounts, that's what really gives the pain effect and, the focus effect, but it's in very small amounts.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a partial mu opioid agonist. So, but the problem is, first of all, there was no scientific study prior to 7-OH entering the market. And then the 8-factor analysis was just done. And the 8-factor does show a high addiction liability.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's the biggest concern, I think, is the addiction liability. And the other thing, in animal models, it does show some respiratory depression, which is very different than natural leaf kratom.
Well, that sounds more like an opioid then, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a full agonist.
Is that because it binds so much stronger to that same receptor than kratom does? Is that like part of the problem?
The binding affinity is much stronger.
Wow.
Yeah, correct. Which is why they said 7-OH is basically like 10 times stronger than morphine, right? Like it can be real strong. And I think that's why. And this is the thing that just fucking pisses me off about this industry, man. I love it. I've been in it for a really long time. But these fucking assholes come at you with stuff like 7-OH because it makes them money at these gas station, truck stop places. And it's so fucking irritating because like, that's what gives us all a bad name. Like, you know what I mean? Like it really is annoying. It's just
and then it leads to legislation, which doesn't help anyone, right?
No.
In a knee-jerk reaction to, well, this could hurt somebody, let's pull it away, rather than let's looking at the real problem.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
And because of Heidi, I end up going to Zoom meetings for local hearings to ban Kratom because they have the 7-OH issue.
Right.
So the local ban threats have increased now because of 7-OH. And so Heidi's been working all week on local ban threats. So it was really caused a problem.
Well, and the small towns and cities, a lot of them are like, we just don't have the resources to be able to enforce, detailed regulation. And so that's why
banning is easier. Yeah.
It's easier. But that's what makes the Kratom Consumer Protection Act so important in every state. There's 18 states now that have passed it. And what it does is it limits the level of 7-OH in any product to, less than 2% or 1 milligram per serving.
Which would be a more naturally occurring level.
Correct.
You know, it's interesting that you that's really enlightening that you told us about the 7-OH actually being a partial synthetic, because you start to wonder when you see somebody extracting anything, especially with an herbal compound that might have, how many different, like we talk about cannabis quite a bit and think about all the cannabinoids and think about all the terpenes and all, and what's entourage effect to keep some of those side effects mediated, and then what is something toxic that they found some physiological effect that they then synthesize for because there's an effect rather than an understanding of what it's doing to the body.
Right.
Right. And to get that much 7-OH, to get the 7-OH that's contained in one tablet, you would have to have like, a gallon of pure leaf kratom to produce that much. I mean, it's just crazy. The other thing is I just picked one up for a sample, for education purposes. There's no child resistant packaging.
No.
It's just like cardboard over a tablet. And it actually fell out in my bag.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, I mean, I went to my, grandkids, and if that fell out on the floor and,
you're adorable for thinking that would ever be the case, right?
It looks like an M&M. It even has the M on it.
Yeah. You're like, no.
Right.
But you know what? That's the problem, right? You get these venture capital or private equity guys that say, oh, there's a study that came out on NIH or PubMed or somewhere else, right? It came out that says, 7-OH it comes out of the liver. It's responsible for pain mediation. And now all of a sudden they're like, great, let's just make a shit ton of that and sell it, and like I've talked to these people a lot, right? I see them every year, right? And it's funny how it's the same booth, right? The same booth sold Amanita 3 years ago. Now they sold Kratom. Now they're selling 7-OH. We'll see in February, March what they sell next year. But it's like, you're not really friendly to us. You're just a bottom feeder. And I know that how their thought process worked. It's all about money, and it backs from there. It backs in. And it's like, okay, well, that's okay, I guess, in some places, but like people like yourselves, and listen, let's be honest here. The people that are shopping at head shops generally aren't you guys, right? Most of the time, it's
how many people are unaware of what they're getting? Yeah.
Not just from a knowledge standpoint, but also from a pain necessity, right? You guys are doing this because you have to, right? A lot of people walking into a head shop just want to get fucked up, period.
That's very true.
We can be honest about this. Like and those people don't really care. In fact, 7-OH might be better. They're like, oh, this stuff sends me on a ride.
For that purpose, it definitely would be.
Which is what makes those booths successful, right? Like they're like, okay, we're going to roll the dice and we're going to just do it out there. We're going to throw it out there and make a ton of money. But to Tom's point, by this time next year, it's going to be legislated out of existence, and we'll have to move on to the next.
But they're already on to the next compound. Can I ask about that? I mean, as far as toxicity, I guess for both Kratom and 7-OH, I mean, no compound is inert, right? We know there's probably some concerns with Kratom that clearly are not as bad as 7-OH, but how do they stack up? I mean, are we seeing case studies, or are we seeing full white papers on contraindications? How does it look for that concerned person that's probably on the fence about trying Kratom and then of course the 7-OH argument?
Well, the metabolism is through the P450 pathway through the liver.
Okay.
So obviously, anybody that has hepato, issues, they have to be very, very cautious.
Because but that would be any compound with somebody with liver issues. Yeah.
Right. And as you know, there's so many compounds that do metabolize through that pathway.
Yeah. Sure.
But as far as I know, there have been 9 individual case reports of liver toxicity since 2011. That's a long time. And that's in
9 as in 9 as in 1 less than 10. Okay.
Okay. That's right.
As in you have enough fingers.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay.
And so if I miss some, maybe a dozen. but every one that I have read has confounding variables.
That
Either
was
they
going
have
to be my follow-up
history
question.
of liver problems, or they, were taking other substances that could attribute to that. So that is the most evidence of any kind of toxicity. And I think I lost you.
Nope. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I suppose that also we'd have to like fact check their dosing and everything, so it's like probably a multifactorial problem.
And the reports are so dishonest. I'll tell you, my real awakening into the dishonesty in some of these reports was when I read the Mayo Clinic, and I went through every single reference that they had. And those references just did not support what their conclusions were. And one of them for the seizures was a report from Baylor Medicine, Baylor College of Medicine, and they said that this gentleman, I think the title was Kratom caused seizures or something like that. And so I read the actual case study, and the person was on Datura, and ended up took Kratom and had a seizure. Well, Datura can cause seizures and is known to cause seizures.
Right.
And so, but the title was all about Kratom. And then I was like, okay, people are not being honest about this. This is, is crazy.
They might actually have been honest, but I guess honesty is through the lens in which you're looking, right? Because if you are a reporter, there was in fact a seizure involved in the study. Like it happened, right? Now, to your point, it probably wasn't caused by the Kratom, but we'd have to need a separate study to sort of weed out like that. And we've talked about this 100 times on the show if we talked about it once. Like those studies are made for, those headlines are made for selling news stories, not reporting truth.
Well, this was the title in the medical journal.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So that's inexcusable,
Yeah.
Right.
No, you're right. That hurts a little bit more.
It's also weird where you're supposed to list your biases at the end too, and any conflicting interest. And if you're titling it something like that, clearly it's biased.
Yeah, well, and obviously, it's incumbent on us to read the details as well. And all the details are hidden in the in the actual report, but the title really can mislead people. And of course, that's what happened with, Mayo Clinic. They saw the title, and Kratom is unsafe and ineffective.
And away you go.
They still have that up there. And obviously, Melody and I can say it certainly is effective for us. And it hasn't been unsafe for, for me, 7 years. And how long, Melody? 11? 10 years?
It'll be 12 in February.
12. Okay.
So Matt, what you're talking about with the media, that's a lot of the reasons for our local ban threats, and even a statewide ban threat in Ohio because of the media headlines. Kratom and Fed crosshairs.
Yeah.
The governor jumped on it.
Yeah.
And he enacted a ban. Well, he didn't. He asked the Board of Pharmacy to ban it.
Right.
And we've been them. That's a different topic. But actually, HHS Secretary Kennedy called the governor and said, put that on hold. And thank goodness he did. It's on hold. He hasn't backed off of it. But because of media headlines, there's a threat to the whole state of Ohio now. Do you have anything more on that, Heidi?
On Ohio,
yeah,
I think there's a new bill that was just introduced.
To take it out?
Yesterday. No, actually to regulate.
To regulate. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, that's moving in the right
to
direction.
be clear, you guys are all for regulation to keep it out of the hands of people that shouldn't be using it, and kids, and this is, we're talking about, you want safe adult use. Correct.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And absolutely as close to the natural plants, as possible. I mean, I think I don't use extracts, but full spectrum extracts I think a lot of people do benefit from those.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start messing with the alkaloid, content, then, I just don't think that we need to be doing that. So the Kratom Consumer Protection Act limits that 7-OH to either 1% or 2%.
Oh, that's interesting.
Total alkaloid. Mm-hmm.
This is like an amplified version of what we see in just about every other aspect, right? You go into CVS and you walk down the supplement aisle and you see vitamin C, vitamin D, every B under the sun, and you're like, oh great, I could really be healthy here. Then you turn it over and you look at the actual filler ingredients and the actual concentration of any of those things.
And there's nobody
like,
certifying actually that vitamin is in there, especially in places like drugstores, unfortunately.
Yeah. So like you get this thing where it's like people think, and there's so much misinformation, when you stack this whole thing up just about what we've talked about today, right? You've got headlines that are geared for selling news, not for selling truth about anything. You've got nobody verifying any of this stuff. There's very little by way of regulation, and you put it all together and you get people that are like, yeah, look, I take Kratom every day. It's for my health and blah, blah, blah. And you look at it and it's like, yeah, this is like shop floor sweepings from somewhere in China. And you're like, that's not really it. We've talked about minimum effective dose on this show a million times too. And it's like,
right.
Why are you taking Kratom? X, Y, and Z. Well, then you should know what the minimum effective dosing is for that. And that should be like the first question you ask. People don't even know the words minimum effective dose. Like they don't even know what that means. They can piece it together once they hear it, but they're not like, it's not something that no one ever said.
Yeah.
Ask what minimum effective dose of vitamin C is so that you could look at the back of your bottle of crappy CVS vitamins and see if it's even doing what you think it's doing. Or even capable of doing what you think it's doing.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, the American Kratom Association has really led the way on instituting the FDA regulations for dietary supplements applied to Kratom. So the good manufacturing processes is part of the KCPA, and the proper labeling with serving size is on there. Age restriction, limitations of the.
But isn't GMP voluntary at that level?
It is voluntary, and but it does at least give a framework for the manufacturers. So at least you can look. You can look on the AKA website and see who is following.
Who? Yeah, right. So it's just a reference.
Processes.
Yeah,
it is, and there's a lot of good small batch vendors that are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not, paying for, to go through the process of actually getting that good housekeeping kind of seal, from
and it's funny, we're moving into this all over the place. We had Daryl Hudson on here from Good Cat Pharmaceuticals, and he has a psilocybin and a bunch of other stuff, but it's all in GMP facilities, right? And it's something you don't really, you've never really seen that before, right? Because it's a bunch of hippies growing mushrooms in dark rooms. And now this guy's like, no, you could do this at scale the right way. And everyone's like, oh, I guess we could. It's like, he's like giving, but you're seeing, my point is you're seeing this more often than not. Like 5 years ago, you would have seen 0 people doing this. Now it's kind of like, we probably got to get our ducks in a row here on this one.
Well, I think there's also trying to get in front of regulations. If the government starts coming in and then you say, look, we've been doing it this way to ensure safety and we have good practices, I think it's less likely to get dismissed as, hey, you kids just want to get high, or, hey, you're going to hurt somebody, right? If you have that in place. And Melody, I'm sorry I cut you off there.
That's okay. We went on a trip to Pennsylvania, and the vendor that I get mine from is in Pennsylvania. So we were going to Gettysburg, and we took a detour so we could actually tour their facilities, and everything's stainless steel. They have.
Oh, wild.
They're doing it the right way. And so they took me on a tour of their whole company, not just the retail part, but where they package it. And it was all stainless steel and spick and span.
So if I call Pfizer tomorrow, they'll give me a little tour, you think, of their facility? Yeah. I think that's an awesome story because there's no absolutely zero chance in hell of Pfizer giving me a tour of their packaging. Like zero. No way. But I think that's like who on the good side. I know I've spent some time today talking about the bad side of it, but like on the good side, the people that are into these things, and this could be everything from marijuana seeds down to kratom. These people who do it right really are passionate about doing it right, and like that is also a new thing, right? Like not just the bad part.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. There's some really wonderful vendors.
So what do you see as the future of this, Melody? Like, Doc?
Yeah, Heidi's trying to reconnect, so I'll hop in. I really think that they're going to ban 7-OH.
Okay.
They're going to do it. It's going to take a year to a year and a half to do it. And so in the meantime, I'm working as hard as I can to get the KCPA passed in every state. And in fact, in Michigan, they have a hearing coming up October 30th for it, which I will be at. And my son's taking off work so he can be there as well.
Gotcha.
And my husband, everybody's going to testify. My family is 100% on board with it. Except for one thing, they have one regret. And that's beyond me not having any pain. They regret that I did not find it sooner.
Yeah,
sure.
Because it was really bad, guys. It was really bad.
No, it sounds awful. Like the doctor who was treating your underlying condition that caused all the pain, like were they just not aware of kratom, or is that
No, nobody was aware of it, and a lot of it is because of the FDA. They labeled it dangerous.
Interesting.
And
so they were aware of it. They just said no, it's not right.
Well, my doctor was not aware of it at all.
Yeah.
And I think that why it just got dismissed out of hand and nobody was talking about it because of what the FDA had said about it. And now my doctors are on board because I helped educate them.
Right.
And my rheumatologist, he's real thankful that I'm taking it, and I give him the science about it. He said, I'm always interested in learning from my patients because you guys went through it, not me.
Well, the doctors have the same problem you have, right? Like we're all humans on the same ball.
Yeah, especially if they're reading something off PubMed. You know, if they're getting a study that's saying how bad it is, and it's not a good study or it's not representative of the actual compound, that's more likely to have an impact than case studies from individual patients. But I mean, there's a lot that you can't learn in med school, and it's normally in these alternative practices and supplements, you know.
And then who has the time in a busy medical practice to study one plant? Like I have for the last 7 years, I've been able to focus on the details of it.
Right.
So for me, the state KCPAs are absolutely vital. I live in Wisconsin, but Wisconsin is a banned state. It's Schedule 1 in Wisconsin.
Wow.
Kratom is Schedule 1 in Wisconsin?
Schedule 1.
Get the fuck out of here.
Crazy, man.
That's insane.
It is insane. So
is there any other state that has that?
Arkansas, Indiana, Wisconsin. They just reversed the ban in Rhode Island with the governor's help. We got that ban reversed. Vermont is in the process of replacing. They took it off the narcotics list, and they're in the process of getting the right wording for the KCPA. And in Indiana, am I missing one, Heidi?
I think that's it.
Yeah. So a relatively low amount of states. It seems like it's right. Only a few.
And those were trying to get ahead of the 2016 initial recommendation for whole leaf kratom.
Okay.
Okay.
And so they pulled the trigger early, and then when the evidence came out that it is nowhere near, Schedule 1 substance, they just haven't reversed the ban.
I was just going to say, is this an apathy thing
is it a lack of I guess demand or awareness, or enough people aren't making noise? Is that
unwind it? It's hard to unwind it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is if you can imagine, it's very hard to promote something that can put you in jail for 10 years to life.
Wow.
Of course.
You know, I mean, who's going to go to the state capitol in Wisconsin and say, I'm taking Kratom and it's really helping me? So yeah, so
You get
it's
arrested right then and there, huh?
right. So what's happened with me is I found it because my son lives in Illinois, and and so I started to come to Illinois, and it helped me so much. I stayed longer so that I could get healthy, and it really worked. And then I'd go back to Wisconsin, and I would decline, and then I would come back to Illinois, and so I've been in this cycle for 7 years.
Wow.
To the point where I ended up actually, I have a second residence in Illinois that I share with my sister. And so, and my 92-year-old mother, bless her heart, she comes with me everywhere. And so every week we come back and forth from Wisconsin to Illinois. Yeah, so that I can maintain my health and strength and mobility.
And like, this is the funny part, not funny, haha, but it's the funny part that like legislatures like, well, we'll get to it if we get to it when we get to it. Like, it's not hurting anybody. And you're like, well, actually, I had to buy a second fucking house like,
in another state just
like
to be able to do this. Yeah.
Just to be able to do this makes no sense. Like,
Right. Well, and it's the physical, decline. Luckily, over time I have gotten better and I can tolerate, the longer breaks now. But if I have any kind of, injury or exacerbation of one of my conditions, I have to get to Illinois as quick as I can.
Yeah.
Of course. You almost have to, right?
Drive.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just like one of those silly things. Now, let me ask you, is it scheduled one, like, you got caught with heroin, or is it like New York City?
Schedule one is schedule
well,
one.
No, I know,
they don't care.
I know legally it is, but like you used to be able to smoke a joint walking down the street in New York City, and it was technically illegal, but nobody ever said a single thing about it, right? Like it was.
They put you.
I just wanted to mention Marshall Price.
Yes,
it's really important story. Marshall Price was. He had problems with addiction, and I don't remember exactly what substances, but in any case, he really struggled a lot of his life. And then he found natural leaf kratom, totally turned his life around. And he was doing well. He was working. He was, functional, rejoined his family. And he drove over, he went into Arkansas, and they got him for license plate. Actually, the illumination on the license plate was not bright enough, apparently, and they pulled him over. They found the kratom, and he had just personal use kratom in the car and powder. And he was sentenced to 10 years. And in jail, he was murdered 3 weeks after.
Wow.
Wow.
And yeah, his daughter, Julian Price, was in D.C. when we were there. And talked about the loss of her father. And actually, Time Magazine did do a story on it. And, he was brutally murdered. And, they obviously, it's going through the process of lawsuit, et cetera. But that's the problem with, with over-regulating or, over-criminalizing. People can lose their lives.
Yeah.
And so I know Julian always says that, Kratom gave me my dad his life back, but the law took it away.
Yeah.
That's a terrible story. And so unfortunately evidence of how dumb we could be as a species when it comes to these things. Cause we get into these rabbit holes like, oh, it's illegal. So throw the whole kitchen sink at this person because they, have nothing. I mean, personal use for anything. I mean, I don't know. I have a very liberal vantage point on this, I think, where I'm like, look, if you've got personal anything, like slap you on the wrist, send you on your way. Right. Like, if I've got, 10 bags of cocaine individually wrapped, then I'm a problem. Right. Like if I've got a nickel bag in my pocket and it's a Friday night, we could piece this one together, right? Like, I don't feel like these should be treated the same way. And yet you get into these, especially these more draconian sort of environments, and you're like, they just lose their mind. They're like, it's illegal. You're going to hell,
Well, yeah. Well, I also think that, the police and the legislators are confused because of Kratom is measured in grams, and
Thank
we're
you.
so used to milligrams for drugs.
Yeah.
So, when somebody says, oh, they had a gram of kratom. Well,
That's not even a serving size in
that,
some cases.
it's like nothing.
Yeah.
So, and then you say a kilo. Well, if you're a regular kratom user, you buy it in kilos. You don't.
Sure, of course.
Americans are so great with the
nothing.
metric system too.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we got one though that Louisiana just enacted a ban this year.
Oh yeah.
Scheduled.
Right.
Oh, so we have people going towards that, going backwards.
And they were so confused with 7-OH. They had a 7-OH problem in Louisiana, but they conflated that, and it always gets conflated. So they'll talk about all these things, and it's like, okay, that's not kratom powder. You're talking about 7-OH.
Right.
And even showing products. They'll show natural leaf kratom while they're talking about 7-OH.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, that I can easily see that happening because people aren't that bright, and more often they don't really want to be more educated on anything like this. I feel like there's like I know enough about it to know, and that's it. I don't know. That's my impression. I could be off, but that's how I kind of.
They have a lot of things that are demanding their attention, and this is something that requires some detail and again some critical thinking. Between whole leaf and a synthetic, or semi-synthetic or synthetic substances, totally different animals.
Right. So how optimistic are you guys that this is going to end in a good spot, or do you think Louisiana is just the step one of everybody kind of throwing their hands in the air and being like, fuck it, make it illegal?
Well, with Louisiana, they were relying on the FDA. That happened before the press conference.
Okay.
It happened just before it. I'm pretty optimistic overall. I do believe that 7-OH has added like 3 or 4 more years to the fight because we're having to put all these little fires out across the country.
Right.
So optimistic, big picture, yes. But the next 2 or 3 years, I pretty much see myself going from little town to little town testifying on Zoom or something.
Right.
Yeah. That doesn't seem like...
You've got people like you doing that. I mean, that's exciting.
It's been really nice with Heidi.
I kind of missed what Melody said. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
But, so for me, I have to be optimistic. I am very concerned about, the opioid prescribing guidelines being so tight, patients not getting the pain relief that they need. And kratom is such a safe option, especially for older adults. And, and I was a board certified geriatric nurse practitioner. So there's a big difference between older adults and what they can tolerate and what is safe for them, and, other people, as well as the other people that are benefiting from it, for PTSD, opioid withdrawal and other drug withdrawal symptoms. My mom at 92, she had a double wrist fracture. And what's the best thing to treat her for, with? They wouldn't give her opioids. They didn't give her any pain medication at all. But a little bit of kratom brought her pain from an 8 to a 2.
Sure.
I'm not going to let my mother suffer, so I need to fight. And there's also other people in my family that would be at severe risk without having kratom. So this is such a fight. But the hard thing is that it's the sickest of us that are fighting. It's those of us who have chronic disease, have, chronic severe pain. And it's really tough. And these, the people that are making these synthetic substances that are making this fight harder are just, it's just cruel.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying earlier. They're just a bunch of shitheads.
Well, yeah, they just have dollar signs in their eyes, and that's it.
Yeah, it's infuriating. So where can people, is there a way people can participate with you guys? Is there a certain thing that would be helpful to you guys? How do we
reach out to us?
Yeah.
Heidi can we'll get you connected with somebody in your state, and then we can get things started for you.
Can you guys give us a website or something? Because AI will scrub the whole episode, make sure we got that front and center.
If not, we're going to link to your LinkedIn profiles. I think we have both of you guys on that, so we can send people that way as well.
Great. And the American Kratom Association.
All right.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that is really the consumer advocacy group that is keeping this legal. And they've been in the fight from the beginning. So I think that's a great place to go. And I can give you my email as well.
We'll put it all in the show notes. I've got all that. If you guys don't mind sharing any of that, I'll put it all in the show notes as well. So that's easy enough. We just had a kava guy on last week, and it's a little like Kratom in the fact that it's a root. It comes, it's got very misunderstood as well. But there's only one of them in Maryland right now. So I'm like, after that conversation, I'm like, I was thinking a lot about Kratom. I'm like, I wonder if this ends up going down a similar path, because it's got very little by way of side effects. It's good for people. It's really great for mental health and community building. And so it's right to have somebody say, fuck that, that's illegal. So I'm just like, and I'm like, but so I think education, especially early on, is super important for anything that we're talking about here, especially things that have such a positive impact on people if done right.
Yeah.
Right. I wish we could spend more time in public health education rather than just fighting bans.
Yeah, playing defense is never as effective, I think, as playing offense, right? Like if you guys could be out there.
Yeah, you're already behind.
Yeah, because then you're just whack-a-moling problems, and that gets exhausting after a while, because you're like, where's the end of the moles? Like, when can I stop whacking moles, right? Like, and the answer is maybe never, right? I mean, it's So if that passes, would that wipe out all the Louisianas of the world and Wisconsins of the world?
Or would there still be state
I
override?
Think the states, I think the states can. I don't know. I thought they could make it laws stricter than the federal.
Well, it's funny. We've been talking about cannabis reform for 25 years in Head Shop, right? And just because of what we do. And when it finally started to take hold and more states were doing it, then we start talking about other sort of third rail things that states might also be able to have autonomy over, right? Like pro-life, pro-choice, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole bunch of things we could talk about in there. And I have to remind myself even sometimes, I'm like, well, if we let a state override on cannabis, because that's illegal federally. So if we can wrap our heads around that, then we need to wrap our heads around the fact that states can override anything one way or the other, good or bad. But at the end of the day, my personal politics or belief matrix doesn't really matter, but I do get upset when I see somebody like Wisconsin. You tell me it's Schedule 1. There's nothing more nonsensical than making Kratom Scheduled 1 narcotic.
Yeah, especially with very little side effect is shown anywhere.
Right.
Well,
and addiction. How could you even? Isn't Schedule 1 isn't one of the barriers?
No medical use. No positive.
Addiction,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Who the hell's addicted to Kratom?
Well, high risk of problems, I think, is how they word it, or high risk of injury or something.
There are some people that it's a low risk for addiction. Yeah, so there are some people that do have addiction problems with Kratom. But the important thing is it doesn't make them stop breathing.
Right.
So,
that's also
that seems
point.
very important.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to be addicted to something, it certainly is better to be addicted to Kratom than addicted to, something opioid or, whatever other, drug that people get addicted to. I mean, people can get addicted to most everything.
Yeah, well, that's one of those demifying things, right? You're like, when it's bad, it's all bad, right? You can't differentiate between the levels of addiction. Like if I'm addicted to heroin and I'm addicted to Kratom, those are very different profiles.
You live to get treatment, with Kratom.
Right, exactly. So I don't know if even if it had a high degree of addiction, but it was addicted to something that was sort of saving you from something much worse.
Harm reduction.
Harm reduction is the right way to word that.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's right. Thank you for clarifying my stumbling words.
The other thing, of course, there's a big difference between dependency and addiction. And so, certainly, I've never seen or heard of a story of somebody taking natural leaf kratom that has, run into huge, legal problems, etc. But I have heard of, people spending just gobs of money on 7-OH. So, and it really affecting their life. And so I'm not sure of how much the kratom addiction is actually just dependency. And, it sometimes, we're all dependent on something. Most of us are dependent on caffeine, and I sure know I am.
Yeah.
So,
had 2 cups today, but no one's sending me to jail for my coffee addiction. So,
Right, exactly. And I'll tell you, if I go a day without coffee, I'm going to have a lot more.
It's going to be a rough day.
Problems.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really rough day. But I can come on and off of kratom without having those issues.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, guys, thank you so much. This was really
enlightening.
Very enlightening. I think it's a good lesson for me. Ask the question of the universe what you want. I asked the question, and here you guys are. This was like a great, very informative conversation.
And I'm glad we got the 2 of you. I think you were really representative of all of it: the advocacy, the science, and the safety. So we're
the
really
patience,
the patience too.
Right. You're the whole package. So
Melody and I work well together.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, good luck to you
fighting.
both. And we will definitely put you up, and I'd love to see if our audience could be at all helpful. I think it would be great. Definitely, certainly aligns with a lot of what people here talk to us about.
Medical freedom.
Yeah. I mean, hey, hallelujah, man. I'll tell you what. So, all right, guys, have a great weekend, and thanks again.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank you,
Take
guys.
care.
So nice to meet you. Bye.
You as well.
Oh, I will.
Be subversive, irreverent.
Health is wealth, but you knew that.
Everybody knows that.
But so is following us on social media at Irreverent Health. And check out our website for more exclusive content at irreverenthealth.com.
Oh, I like this.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Irreverent Health.